Okay, we're all set.
Okay. Like to call the meeting to order. Was there any additions? Any councilors have any additions to the agenda? I believe we seen this morning on an email from the CAO, she'd like to add 2 items. That is, the addition is a COVID-19 update report by the CAO. And the second one is council meeting April 22nd, move it from 7 o'clock to 3:30. Victoria, was there any particular place you'd like to have those added, or just?
We could put the COVID-19 operations update under 8.1 new business. And probably the time for the council meeting we can put as 9.1 other business.
Okay. Just a second here. 3:30, 19 CAO update. Was there anything else by any councillor? Hearing none, just the approval of the agenda as it stands. Next item is if there is any conflict of interest in any of the items, if you could declare it now. If not, when the item comes up, if you feel there's, please declare it. Okay, I see. I guess then item number 5, presentations. Our first presentation is Frank Grant. Oh, there he is. Go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you, Warden Anthony and fellow councilors, CEO Brooks and Liz. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to share my report screen here. So yeah, strange days indeed, I guess, for all of us. And in the recreation world, our whole business is about bringing people together, and COVID-19 has definitely thrown us a curveball there. So I just thought I'd give you an update on things happening within our department, and then go over, I guess, some budget scenarios, because I have been working with Victoria and Greg on budget, and what I've done is looked at our 12-month regular budget before COVID-19 shut us down, and then revised that to a more realistic approach where we may not have a normal startup in the spring like we usually do. So I've adjusted things for more like a July startup, and then depending on how this all goes, because we all know that it's changing hourly and daily, an October startup. So I think that'll give us a better idea of if we are still closed for business, then how we can be looking at our financial end of our department. So can everyone see my report okay? Okay. So as I mentioned, with COVID-19, all of our planned programs that were going on were canceled. That included After the Bell, after school programs, senior swims, our volunteer reception, and our annual Easter egg hunt, as well as our regional South Shore Valley recreation meetings planned for April 16th and 17th. So we, as a lot of you probably know, we have had the last month and a half or so, we've had some staff changes within our department, with Misty James leaving us and 2 new people coming on. So with Sarah LeBlanc as our community recreation coordinator and Jillian Camo as our active living coordinator, They both started in very strange times. Jillian had been on a trip and was sequestered at home for 14 days. So her orientation has been very challenging. Sarah was able to get a week in the office before we started working from home. So it's taken a bit of time, I guess, for us to get into the virtual modes, but I think everyone is adjusting okay. We're having regular check-ins, and it's just a little bit different with fielding questions and sending files and you know, doing all of our work basically online. With the office being closed, Gail Muse, our admin assistant, has been working Tuesdays and Thursdays, and with year end, she's been helping out lots with getting our final financials to close off our 1920 year end. The other impact that we've had, besides our programs, has been with our facility bookings, and our facility bookings have been canceled for the month of April, and that totaled a number of 64 facility booking cancellations, which involved 23 different groups. But we are still able to be doing things. One of the things that I'm happy to say that is going ahead is the Lake Milo renovation project. We were kind of concerned that things may be halted from the construction end, but building permits are still being issued. Construction companies, like most of us, have adjusted their ways of working, and the renovation may take a little bit longer just due to the fact that it's a relatively small area of work, and that the construction company, Delmar Construction, is only allowed 2 people in at a time. So, but that's going ahead, and with things shut down in the building and property closed, it worked out to be good timing for that. So that project just started this week on Tuesday, and we're looking forward to having a nice reno of our washrooms, which for those that have been in the building know that that is very well needed. With year end and budget planning, that's always a busy time of year here, and we're just wrapping things up from last year. Again, with not being in the office and catching the mail, there are some last minute utilities and payments that are still coming in that we're trying to keep track of, and hopefully we'll have a good picture of where that leads us off for our 1920 year. With facilities, again, we've closed most of all of our facilities. Signs have been put up with the provincial order stated, but as we know, and from social media, I'm sure lots of you are seeing that there still are people using public facilities, walking their dogs on ball fields, walking trails that are closed. So we have put signs up. Some have either come down due to weather, some have been ripped down. So we are going back around, getting some new signs posted. We have blocked entrances because most of our facilities do not have lockable doors. We are putting some chain link fence up in some areas. We are doing our part to try to keep people at home and staying off municipal facilities. One of the tasks that John Darcy has been working on, and again, kind of good timing with us being at home, sitting in front of computers rather than, you know, John doing his normal ramp up for the season, is that we've been undertaking for some time now a new safety program, review of all of our safety procedures and job procedures. That's always been on John's desk, and he's looking at all of our job procedures and looking at applying safety new updated safety procedures for those. And we are working closely with our occupational health and safety rep that's appointed to the municipality. And I did want to mention too that we are also looking at all job procedures within our department and then applying safety procedures with those. One of the things that, we always have seasonal facility staff, seasonal program staff. Because everything is up in the air, we have no idea where things are headed as far as a seasonal facility hires, seasonal program hires. We are still advertising for summer positions. We are receiving applications. I am corresponding with all applicants that with everything going on, that there are no guarantees that there will be jobs, but we are still going through the process of receiving those. With John and his department, he does have regular facility positions with Brian, Raymond, and Harold, and he's been in touch with those three folks, and they've been very receptive to everything that's going on. And again, with some of the things within our facility department, John has been working with a lot of our community sport groups. Minor baseball and minor soccer have not really had much to say about the startup of their season if it does happen. I have seen something posted from Soccer Nova Scotia that they've adjusted their provincial dates to be longer into the fall. So again, everything in that realm is up in the air. But the bottom line is, I guess, we are not hiring anyone. We are not spending any money. We are doing things as minimally as possible. With Sarah, again, with her doing lots of orientation online, it's been quite challenging, but I did want to, in my report, I did mention a lot of the things that she's been reviewing. I'm not going to go over all of those things, but one of the things I did want to mention is we've been meeting regularly, communicating regularly with the recreation departments in Yarmouth County and Shelburne County. And one of the things that we're trying to do is work together with positive messaging through social media. We have an excellent community base and community support through our Yarmouth Recreation Facebook page. And Sarah's been really good at trying to look for neat things, different things that families can do to recreate with their family at home. And what we're building towards is trying to bring in some community members that have the capacity to do some home videos. The thing that I think of that's happening since day one is Cindy Robichaud, who's a local fitness instructor. Her clientele is mostly seniors. She has her organization is called Synergy, and if you have a chance, check her out on Facebook. She does daily workouts online with her clients, and they're open to anyone that wants to join in. So that's something that, as this world that we're in for recreation and leisure and physical activity, we're trying to look at different ways to get people moving and doing that in their home or in their own backyard. But Sarah was in the office, so she was able to do some orientation work with our database, with our website, with updating South Shore Connect, which is a database for recreation facilities and programs in the South Shore. And she's also putting plans together for departmental strategy document, which we've been working towards for some time now. With Active Living, Jillian Camo, she's been hired, and by the end of this week, she'll be with us for 1 month. And again, her orientation has been a lot online. Her task is to revise our now 5-year-old physical activity strategy. And the research that she's doing is checking out other plans that other municipalities our size have done, connecting with recreation departments mostly. With her work, a big part of her job is to network and connect locally with community groups and other community organizations. A little bit challenging in these times, but she is able to connect and build some of those relationships. And we're really looking forward to, with schools starting some online lesson planning starting today, we are exploring avenues as to how we can play a role in connecting with schools, with students, and trying to assist in any ways that we can as far as recreation or physical activity. So we're continuing on, and just in a different way, and we try our best to follow what the province is releasing as far as staying at home and not driving to beaches and that sort of thing. So we're trying to relay those messages as much as possible. And just before I close out my written part of the report, I am going to go to another screen with some financial scenarios. But I did want to say that even though recreation is not considered an essential service, it was kind of neat to see that we are having lots, I guess maybe I used the wrong word, to say kind of neat to see that we're having issues with people using parks and beaches and trails when they're being told that they're closed or to stay home. But us being not being considered an essential service, I guess you can see if you take essential out and important service, you can see how important a lot of those things that we have in our community are to people. So I'm just going to switch screens and show you all a little bit about the about some of the numbers that I crunched here. So again, this was kind of a difficult task to figure out because I'm only estimating on some things. And I guess the first column that you see under current, that is what Victoria and Greg and I have looked at as far as submitting a number to put on the books for this coming 2020-21 budget. So that current number was if we were going and planning as per normal. We know that that first column is going to be adjusted, but that's the number that we put in, probably a month ago. The second column, where it says July startup, that's where I've tried to look at our normal plans for the year and make some assumptions and some estimations as to how things may look if we have a mid-July startup. One of the things I'm thinking of is if we have a shorter summer program, which our summer program is usually between 10 to 12 weeks. If we do have programs, what is going to be the uptake by the community to send children to programs? So I tried to be very realistic as far as what we would anticipate for attendance numbers. And the other aspect is that even if we are able to do some of our normal programming, what restrictions are we going to be under as far as numbers allowed for people to gather? So we may have minimal numbers of 10, for example. So how do we deliver programs for groups of 10 children, youth, seniors, or adults? That's why there's some fluctuations there. And obviously the bottom numbers are the numbers that we're going to be asking each of the town and the municipality to contribute toward recreation. In my feeling right now is the this column, the July startup column, is what we should probably adjust our budget figures to reflect, with the idea that we know they're subject to change. The final column is if we do not have any summer program. So we are basically minimal operations, no ball leagues, no community organization bookings, no activity at all. And we look at normal startup in the fall, which would be about a 6-month operation. If we look at the fiscal year, and that would be what we'd be looking at as far as just starting up with fall programs. Again, some of these numbers were hard to anticipate because a lot of our fall activities, as you all know, is around community use of schools, accessing school facilities, which who knows what will be happening by the fall as far as our opportunities to put groups in, again, gathering numbers and those type of things. So those are the 3 options that I've come up with for our budget, knowing full well that they're subject to change based on the information that we're given. And I guess it gives us a planning basis to plan and put our figures in for our total municipal budget and go from there.
Okay. Is there any questions from councilors pertaining to Frank's presentation? Lauren? You have the floor. Have to unmute.
I had to unmute myself. I think Frankie did a heck of a good job there, and it shows that you're being very proactive. And thanks very much for doing the best you can with what you got. So thank you.
Thank you. And the difficult and the stress part of, I guess, my work is I'm being realistic about it, that in all 3 budget scenarios, I did not adjust anything for full-time staff, but I am, thinking of possible layoffs. That's just it's a stressful thing for me to think about. But with the way we're heading and with the way the news reports are, it's something that's in the back of my mind, and making me get on my bike a bit more. So, I didn't adjust any numbers with our full-time staff, but I am cognizant of the pressures that council has with, basically collecting taxes and our tax referral programs and that sort of thing. So I've got that in the back of my mind, and we're prepared to do what we can do to keep things running as best as we can.
Was there anybody? Okay, Gerard?
Yeah, Frank, I know you were talking about the summer programs and stuff like that, that you're losing a lot of money from rentals that are canceled. And what about the Mariner Center? Do you have any programs that start in the summer or early fall or anything like that?
I only sit on the Mariner Center board as ex officio, so I'm not. Victoria probably knows a bit more about the Mariner Center operation, but our involvement with the Mariner Center has always been just like any other customer. If we take a group public skating, we rent the ice, we pay it just like any group or organization does. So in the fall, if Mariner Center is open up and we are able to do some things, those, I think, our after-school programs are the ones that use the Mariner Center the most out of our activities. But yeah, it's that it's stuff that's all up in the air, and I'm not sure where. I know both ice surfaces are out of the Mariner Center at present. But other than that, I don't know a whole lot. There hasn't been any meetings that I've been involved with.
Yeah, but as far as the park maintenance and stuff like that, so John and his crew are still going to keep the parks mowed and
Well,
cleaned or everything.
we have ball fields that we have to do some maintenance on. If there's no ball leagues, no soccer leagues, we will have some maintenance to do. But right now, what I'm thinking, if everything is canceled for the summer, it'll be me and John mowing and whippersnipping those fields at a minimal capacity.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from anybody? And so on. If not, Frank, I have a couple and so on. I see you had like the three options. Option number one was we move forward. If everything was open tomorrow, away you go, and so on. And the other one was July, the 1st of July. If on the 30th of June, the provincial government comes out and says, no, we're going to be closed, or we don't want no recreation, everybody's still on isolation, etc., for the month of July, what will your decision be to say from July to October? I mean, you have July, August, and September. You have three of the summer months. Would you be looking at saying we're done completely for those 3 months? It will only start up in October, even if I'll say in the second week of August, the province comes out and says, hey, COVID is gone, everybody can go and do. Have you got any other ideas, thoughts on a mid-startup after July or anything?
So if we are able to get going again, say in mid-July, with gatherings, larger group gatherings, and I would say we would be able to operate some of our normal summer program, and that's like our day camps and sport camps and youth camps. If we still have those guidelines where we can't have large groups over 10 people, then we may not be able to offer some of those programs because those have attendance levels of anywhere from 15 to 35 participants each day. But if we say that July is written off, that there's still no activities, all of our facilities are closed, but we're looking at an August startup, we may be able to bring on a skeleton crew of summer staff, a handful, to give them some employment for a 4 or 5 week program of doing different types of things, and those different types of things will be determinant on those social gatherings, I guess.
Okay. And if I may, one last quick question. You mentioned about the possible of layoff. So I guess I'm going to direct my question to the CAO through you. Is there like a part-time program that John could, or Frank could use Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, doing things, maintaining the fields, but Thursday and Friday they're off, that the federal government has put in place? They'll top off Thursday and Fridays through unemployment or anything of that nature?
It's not so much about whether or not we could secure funding to help offset the cost of wages. It's whether or not hiring those people is appropriate because of the program or service that they support. So it's really around those public health regulations and the Minister of Municipal Affairs state of emergency regulations, and whether or not we're actually able to deliver the service, which creates the demand for the team. So Frank and all the other directors and I, we speak regularly during the week. Yeah. And with respect to Frank's operations, the team is well aware of what's going on, and some of our regular summer staff, they know what's going on. So we've been staying in touch, and everybody knows it's fluid. They know that things could change quickly, for the better or for the worse. And I think that's the important message, is just to manage expectations.
Lauren, you had a question?
Yes, I just want to point out that Frank made some good points there about the recreation fields and whatnot, and soccer fields. There has to be a minimum
Yes.
minimum maintenance has to be done to these areas, or they'll suffer greatly in the long run if they're not looked after properly. But again, you certainly can scale back on the full-time activity of the maintenance program, but there's definitely got to be a minimum maintenance has to be done to keep everything to as normal as possible.
Okay. Thank you. Was there any further questions into Frank? Hearing none, Frank, thank you very much. Keep up the good work and pass it on to your staff. We appreciate everything they're doing.
Thank you very much for allowing me to give an update.
Okay, thank you. Bye for now. Our next presentation is the Director of Public Works. Derek, you have the floor.
Good morning, Warden, Council, and staff. Again, I'm going to begin with share my screen here. Just give me a moment. And so I think everybody can see that. Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Great. So I'm going to begin this morning, just going to give you some highlights on the past fiscal for 2020, and I'll just kind of keep them in point form. So the 2019-20 fiscal year, we saw the completion of following capital projects. We completed the Arcadia sidewalk upgrade. We finalized it in its completion. The web.com HVAC upgrade was finalized and completed. The HVAC program upgrades for this admin building. Part of that was we're doing a new program within the computer for the automation of the heating and cooling here. Basically, we were just about to have them come in and do that when the COVID-19 issues sprung up. So we still have that outstanding and trying to find a way to get them in here and get the programming done. That's something we're working on. That's one area we may be able to get the project completed, even though the restrictions are in place. We think we can find a way to fit that in. We had a new compressor and associated controls in Port Maitland. The compressor was purchased, and again, same person doing programming for us we were in the midst of trying to set up the work for that, which got halted with the COVID-19 issue. So we're going to try to, again, when we're able to and we feel we can get that work in, get it done, we'll be doing it. So we had some flow monitoring equipment upgrades for LS1 in Hebron to go along with our new pump install the other year, and also for Arcadia, again, all tied into the same vendors. We had it all scheduled for the week coming of the shutdown, and that kind of put a stop to those projects. Again, those three are just kind of setting, ready to go, ready to be finished. So, when we can, we'll try to get those completed. We've seen the completion of the public work shed, again, just in time. That is giving us an opportunity to move stuff from our rental space up there now. So that's definitely, with the changes in our work processes through the day, it's affording a lot of extra time for us or for one staff member to, on his days outside of his checks, to attend to moving that equipment, organizing, and getting that done. Where before we would have done it within our normal routine. So that's helping a lot, having a bit of time for that. The tendering and award of the new 1-ton truck, that got out before the end of our fiscal. So that's been PO'd and will be coming down the road. Across our operating accounts for Public Works, all our budgets were in line with projections. Again, with the change here, usually by this time I've had a little more in-depth conversations with Greg, and we've looked a little more at the numbers. But we did get through our budgets and set some numbers before some of this isolation set in. So with the last year's fiscal, the main wastewater systems, Arcadia we were below budget out there. South Ohio was on budget, as set. Fort Maitland sewage treatment plant, we were off by $100 on that. So we were, again, on budget. Hebron Dayton system, which is our largest, was in line. Again, because of the issues that we have some outstanding invoicing from the town of Yarmouth for flows. So again, I'm sure that's just all internal paperwork where they send numbers to me. I send flows back to them. Then it goes back through their billing department and then back to us. So we're aware that there's still 2 outstanding invoices, but we feel that based on the numbers, it'll still be within our projected budgets. Our winter works were light this year, again, with the non-weather events, which resulted in savings for sure. Our accounts for maintenance of sidewalks, we were down considerably in that. From that, we have that ripple effect also, which reduces wear and tear costs on machines, and cutting blades and breakdowns and fuel. And then over time, accumulation is another savings, and then sand salt savings. We're not depleting those stocks that we purchased. And again, they're there ready to go for next winter season. Overall, the wastewater collection systems we just handled mainly ongoing maintenance and repairs. We had no major issues with any of the systems, except for, typical pump seals, odd breakdowns and float changes and things like that. With our equipment, we had no major issues. Vehicle repairs were a bit above normal, but it's coinciding with the turnover of the 1-ton and age of certain vehicles. So again, the 1-ton coming into a turnover, and us in moving that out of the fleet will bring those vehicle costs back in line. General repair maintenance for Cape for Shoe property was basically just centered around our typical grounds and site upkeeps and groundwork. We had no large projects undertaking by our department down there this year, so it was all focused on site improvements, just everyday work by our staff members there. We work quite a bit with the asset management cohort in our team on training and workshops. And the ongoing development of this from Modi continues. That's kind of a downfall of this too. Our team was just getting that moving and looking forward to implementing everything we'd learned. So it's still ongoing. We're still factoring a lot of it into this, in budgets and plans going forward. But again, it's having as a bit of a stalling effect on going forward. For new connections to the wastewater system, this past fiscal, we only had 3 connections to the Hebron system. 2 were within the business park and only 1 residential in that. So that's quickly in a nutshell what our fiscal year looked like. Again, we were, all our projections were pretty much on target. No huge issues. All our capital projects that I mentioned above got completed. Arcadia came in good. No extras there. Web.com HVAC, we got through it a little longer than what we wanted to take, but there was just a lot of unforeseens as we moved along within the building. So again, I know as Frank mentioned, these trying times here, I guess, is changing things. So just a quick snapshot for us. I'm in the office on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then I have Morgan, he's presently working on his wastewater collections certification, which he's so he's in doing my field work in the mornings, and then he's working on his wastewater collection certification studying that we have him enrolled in. So, good thing about this is afforded us time to get him trained up quicker than the amount of time we would have allotted if he was out doing a full day in the field and attending to other things we can't seem to get done right now. But then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have John Muse come in. John comes in and does his park and his web.com, and he's been moving stuff from our rental space to the new public works building. So between that rotation, and we haven't we're trying to keep my focus, I guess, is because we are small staff, trying to keep the focus of us maintaining isolation with each other as much as we can. Not putting the two of them together or two of us working together if we don't have to, because, if we lose one, then, it definitely puts us in a pinch. So so far everything's been working good with, we've had no major issues with our systems. Again, with the businesses not open, that reduces flows on a large of our commercial flows. But again, we have a lot of residential people that are now home doing more with washing and stuff. So we feel in some systems it's pretty much balancing itself out. Again, as talking with through the directors and with Victoria, our CEO, my focus now going into the summer is as we move into maintenance side of things with mowing and, those larger continuous ongoing types of work, what's a priority, what's not, where will we focus, our days and things like that. So I think those discussions will come as we move forward here and as we see, but, as in Frank's case too, with his fields maintenance and things like that. And as Councillor Cushing mentioned, grass will always grow, and and there's certain things you have to attend to. What we prioritize now could change. Maybe there's some things we don't put as much emphasis on maintenance wise as we did in the past. We still got to look at for example, we have the Cape for Shoe site. Going forward, it's not going to be a site open to the public, and used, but it's still going to have some type of maintenance, to keep things as is kind of thing. So I think there's some difficult decisions going forward that's going to have to be made, but I think I've turned my focus as a director is our infrastructure is, the number one important work that we have to make sure is operational. Pump stations, sewer systems, Port Maitland plant, those things is where we'll focus our attention, and I guess we'll have to kind of go from there.
Is there any questions for Derek at this time? If not, if I may, I have a quick one there, or two,
Sure.
I should say.
Question.
I don't have you on screen. I'm sorry. Did you wish to ask, Patty?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
If there-
Thanks, Derek. Are we having any issues with people flushing hand sanitizing wipes into the system?
We just within our first week of this, we had a scheduled pump cleaning for a couple chambers, and we did notice during that time in Port Maitland at the remote pump station at school, when we did pump that, there was a lot of sanitary wipes. What happens there is a combination of two things. People tend to still flush the typical greases and stuff from their cooking aspects, and usually that'll clump hard and it'll cause problems over time. With the wipes just more or less create a blanket on that, and it just makes everything a complete solid rock. And so we did have two cleanings in Hebron on a Hebron system and one in Port Maitland the first week of this isolation. So we're definitely seeing more of them. We haven't had any issues, as of yet with it, but they are in there. It is a common issue. We're seeing more definitely when we inspect each day. They are in the systems for sure, but we haven't encountered any issues that has made us have to remove pumps or call in a pumper truck to alleviate the issue.
Thanks, Derek. I guess that's something that maybe on our website and on Facebook, we could put another reminder out for people not to flush those and get them into our system. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think over time, as longer this goes, and I know I'll get the call from Morgan some morning, and he'll say, we got to pump down, and it looks like we're jammed. So,
Yeah, thanks.
okay, you're welcome.
Mr. Warden, I'm just going to jump in if I could. Derek, if you could stop sharing your screen, then it will
Yeah,
allow the
of course.
warden to see everybody
Okay.
better. Thanks.
Sorry.
There.
There.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. Was there any further questions for Derek? If not, I have a couple. They're just minor. Whereas we put out the tender and it's been accepted for a new 1 ton. What are we doing with the old 1 ton? Trading that in, or is that going out for sale, like for tender?
That'll probably, no, and again, when we look at capital budget, again, we're kind of in between those discussions right now. There was a possibility of turning over some other municipal vehicles in this fiscal, so we would have put those vehicles out for tender for surplusing. That would definitely be the.
Okay, and the other thing, because I've done a little driving, not supposed to be able to a whole lot, but I do travel around the municipality when I have the opportunity. I did go out to the Hebron Park, and I noticed that the CSC building, there's a light standard, and I'm not going to go into any issues or anything, light standard out there that needs a little bit of repair.
Yes, that just happened last week. So myself, yes, this last Tuesday, last Tuesday's garbage day. So myself and Greg Shea and Craig Crosby from school board, I've had the electrician come in and we've unhooked the wiring from it, and I know we're in discussions with the hauler on repairs. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I seen that it was still, it seemed to me, still be very solid, but it's all.
Yeah, I went down and inspected all the bolts and everything. There was nothing sheared off, but it's just, it moved to concrete more than anything.
Yes, that's what I had seen. Hey, other than that, Derek, I guess my one last thing, I know when we changed the lift pump, done a major retrofit to the lift pump there on the Hebron Dayton at the town intersection. Are we planning to do any more of those, like at the Arcadia main lift pump station or anything in the near future?
We do have other systems over time that those would work on. For Arcadia, for example, because that's is such a long pressure line to the town through the Chabot, through the rail bed,
Yes.
that type of lift wouldn't be adequate for that. We'd have to have a submersible pump like we have there to
Okay.
get that type of pressure to move it that far.
Okay.
But there are other areas that those type of systems can work in.
Okay.
So far, I mean, it's been working good. And again, it reduces, any type of maintenance we have to do in the well itself. And again, we were just finalizing the second part of that with putting in a SCADA controls that we can capture real-time flows from our new flow meter down there, so we can get a real good handle on, time of the day flows, any type of infiltration coming with rainstorms and things like that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. On the Hebron Dayton line, I know I may be belating it. On the Hebron Dayton line, that system's been in place, what, 20 years?
Yes, 1989, I believe that was 88, 89.
Yeah. So it's held up pretty good, has it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nope. We did a videoing in that in I think it was 09 or 08, I believe. We did the complete line videoing of the whole system through here. So, and there was no major issues in flushing, cleaning.
Yeah, we're very fortunate on that line. Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions in for Derek at this time? Hearing none or seeing none. Derek, thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Bye for now. The next item up was the Chabot Cemetery, but I see CAO, that was canceled. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, on to item number 6. Business arising from the minutes, standing items, the rural internet. To you, CAO, you have some updates other than there's been an awarding of the contract for the Pinckney Point, Melbourne area?
Yep, so the contract was awarded, all the documents were signed, the engineering is well underway. What Develop Nova Scotia is doing with the internet service providers is trying to smooth the on-ramp to getting shovels in the ground. So as you can imagine, there's lots of engineering work and permits to be filed and all those sorts of things. So what Develop is trying to do, largely because of COVID, is to help accelerate all those processes so that the projects can be implemented as quickly as possible. The procurement through the CRTC and round 2 with Develop Nova Scotia are going to be delayed somewhat because of the whole COVID-19 piece. How long they'll be delayed, I don't know. The internet service provider we've been working with, as you know, was making submissions to both of those funding streams. So I know their attention has been turned to getting the projects that they have been awarded done so that we can get connections made, and that's the priority, because access to the infrastructure is critical under the COVID-19 situation. Where we've got approved funding, we want connections made. And so once those projects are well underway, I think that the funding agencies and the internet service providers will get back to submitting bids. So it's important to note that there's a lot of pressure on internet infrastructure across Canada because of this pandemic. So, the idea is to get as many people connected now where money is approved, and then turn our hand towards procurement for the next stage.
Was there any questions for the CAO on that? Seeing none, we'll then move on to 6.2, the staying of interest. Again, CAO, you.
Sure. So when council approved the staying of interest for March 31st, it was agreed that we would revisit it on a month-to-month basis. So you'll see it come up under the Committee of the Whole agenda for discussion and recommendation to the council agenda. So it does not appear to me that anything is going to change with respect to the state of emergency between now and April 30th. So I would recommend that council would stay interest for April 30th. And if you're agreeable to that, then a recommendation from Committee of the Whole to council would be in order.
Yes. Okay, was there any questions from any councilor? If not, I would accept recommendation to move that to our April 22nd meeting. Councillor Durkee, you moving that? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Durkee. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by, I guess, Councillor Cushion. And we're all in favor of that, I take it? Yes. Okay. So on our April 22nd meeting, the motion will be there.
Yep.
Okay. With a recommendation, I should say. So no further discussion, I guess, on that one. Item number 7, 7.1, the cost sharing program for paving of subdivision streets.
Mr. Warden, we weren't quite finished there. So we had the interest and we had the low income exemption.
Oh,
They're
I'm
two
sorry.
separate pieces.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So typically our application deadline for our low income tax exemption, which is 50% of taxes or $200, whichever is less, is in the middle of April. And Canada Revenue Agency has extended the filing deadline, and we require the notice of assessment from the filing with the application. So I'm recommending that we extend our deadline for filing for a low income tax exemption to September 30th. And if council's agreeable to that, then a recommendation from Committee of the Whole to council would be in order.
Okay, is there any questions on that recommendation?
I think Councillor Trevor Cunningham had his
Okay.
hand up.
Go ahead, Trevor. You have the floor, Trevor. Go ahead.
I'll move that we recommend the extension of the interest abatement to council.
Low income.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll second that.
September. And who seconded it?
I
Gerard?
second that.
Okay, Councillor LeBlanc seconded. Okay. And all in agreement? Aye? Okay. That everything on that one then, Victoria?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Sorry I missed it. I apologize. So we'll move on to item number 7 then. is the cost sharing program for paving of subdivision streets. You had that in your package. And that was for 2 roads, was it not? I don't have that in front of me at this time, but
Yep, so it's Goodwin and Lilac.
yes. And we just need a recommendation to go to council to approve.
Yep, so it's a $90,000 investment, and it would be cash that would have to flow this fiscal year. So it's for 0.281 kilometers on Goodwin Drive and 0.2 kilometers on Lilac Hill Road. So for a total municipal investment of $90,000. And if you approve that, then all of the roads we submitted in 2018 would have seen repairs and maintenance under that program.
Okay. Councillor Trevor Cunningham, go ahead.
Right. I'm going to make that motion because those roads are in need of repair. I was on Goodwin Drive yesterday. I drove up specifically to take a look at it again, and it's been dug up, and the pavement's totally degraded, and it does need to be replaced. And the good thing about this is it is cost shared, so it again leverages our municipal dollars. So it will have to be done. Has to be done anyway. So for those reasons, I think it's really clear that we should move forward with it. And I'll move that we move this to the next council meeting for approval for both of those sections of road, Class J roads.
Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Cushing. Yeah, Councillor Durkee, you have a question? Okay. Before we go to the vote on that, discussion to the CAO, could you ask the question, do they do ditching and all other related work? They just don't go in and lay asphalt and walk away? Or do they
Well, it depends on what the situation is, and whether or not the TIR views that it's required. So when we participate in this program, we don't see the procurement document, so we don't
Right.
see the scope of work, but we can absolutely ask the question. Mr. Warden, I just have a note from the Deputy Warden.
Yes.
He is asking us to repeat which roads are included. So it's Lilac Hill and Goodwin Drive.
Yeah, Lilac Hill is out in Rennerton, I believe. It joins onto the Rennerton Road. And Goodwin Drive is where? I'm not sure. It's up on the, Trevor, where's Goodwin Drive?
Prospect Street.
Yes.
Yeah, Goodwin Drive just off Prospect,
Okay.
and it is seriously graded.
Yeah, no, okay. I just couldn't remember where it joined. That was all.
Yep.
That was all. Okay. So I guess you heard that it been moved by Trevor, seconded by Lauren. You're all in favor? Thumbs up? Thank you. To Liz, that was all yeses. 7.1.2, J-Class Roads, letter from TIR. You had that also in your package, and that was requesting any new roads that you might wish to add, the J-Class roads you might like to list. So I'm going to have
Mr. Warden,
to,
that's not quite accurate. So there's one-time additional funding for J-Class roads. And so what the province wants to know is, of the J-Class roads that are already paved, that we didn't submit in our original list in 2018, are there other roads that you would like to nominate for the funding? So it's the same deal. It's 50% dollars. And so we had a number of roads that qualified. Church Lane, Captain Landers Court, Club Road, Dunham's Landing Road,
yes.
Dearman Drive, Century Drive, Belmont Avenue, Heritage Street, Colonial Avenue, County Crescent, and Arcom Drive. So I had sent those off to council for you to think about if there were any roads that you wanted to nominate. And I want to remind council of our fiscal realities, the level of which our finances are unknown at this time for this fiscal year. And if we were to nominate roads and they were to be approved by the province, those cash dollars would have to flow this year. So just want to remind you of that. And I had recommended a couple of criteria for you to use as you were
Yes.
thinking about those roads. So, you know, how many full-time residents or businesses are on the road? What is the condition? Extremely poor, poor, fair, good, excellent? And, you know, are there any schools or long-term care seniors facilities on those roads? So that's the opportunity that is before you. And I guess I'll hear if anybody has roads that they want to nominate.
Okay, the floor is open. Anybody have any questions? Or Trevor? Go ahead.
Yeah, and I hear what Victoria's saying, and I do agree with her. These are not new projects. I drove the roads in my district, and they're getting there. Having said that, including the Arcom Drive, those two sections, I mean, it would be nice to have those replaced. They are cracked. There are a couple potholes. But having said that, they are serviceable, and under any circumstances, I'd recommend, because they're leveraged dollars, I'd recommend that we participate. But because the revenue is so uncertain this year, you know, we may have some issues that we need to deal with financially. So I hear what the CAO is saying, and therefore I'm not going to. And again, it's only because of these exceptional circumstances. I recommend that we do these roads this year because they're in poor condition, but not very poor condition. We'll need to attend to them later on, but I think attending to them later on when revenues are more certainly known, I think we could have a better conversation about what we want to do in another fiscal. So having said that, I will ask that we write a letter back and sort of explaining that, you know, certainly we'd be interested in doing this in another year. If the province could see fit to give us another year to participate in the program, that would be welcome.
Was there any other further comment from any of the councillors pertaining to those items? Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I agree. It's just really unfortunate that this has come out at this time. And I'm surprised, quite surprised actually, that the province is offering this up. But under the circumstances, I agree. If these roads are all in okay condition, then we leave them as they are for now.
Is there any further discussion? If I may, then I guess I'll ask the question to the CAO. We're spending it's 90 on those the Lilac and the other road. Is there any of these roads that's in this list? And I see that basically the cost for any one of them would, under the 50/50, I'll just use the term, would be in the $80,000 range. So for $80,000, if one of those roads is in bad shape, you won't get it any cheaper than what you'll get as in today. The price of bitumen and so on is down because the price of crude oil is down. And maybe this is why you're getting a little better price. Of those group of roads, is there any one of them that is in bad shape? Dunham's Landing is not in bad shape. There is houses on it. There's only one small business on it, but it's still in good shape. So it wouldn't be something that I would recommend for that one. But I don't know all of the other ones, you know, Captain Landers Court and so on. A lot of houses in there. And I'm not one that's able to say, yeah, that road's bad enough. Is that something between you and Derek could come up with and recommend that, or should we just let fly?
Well, we're getting zero complaints from any residents on any of those roads. We we do cost share with the province on maintaining those roads. So all of the condition assessments and the maintenance plans are with TIR. So Dawn Houston and Pamela Shan, their team is looking after those roads, and we're not hearing any complaints from anybody on those roads. And to Councillor Trevor Cunningham's point, given our current fiscal realities and some commitments we already have with respect to capital, it would be my recommendation, as much as I hate to give up 50% leverage dollars, timing is also everything. So it would be my recommendation, if you're asking, that we say thank you very much, but we can't this year. But please come back to us again, you know, if there's another opportunity.
If there's no further, it was suggested or recommended by Councillor Cunningham. And did Councillor Cushion or Councillor Durkee? Oh, Councillor Cushion. That you're all in agreement with that then? Thumbs up. Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Warden, I'm just going to check in with Councillor Allen. I see he unmuted. Councillor Allen, did you want to speak?
No, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, 7.2, Department of Seniors, emergency funding. What do we have here? Vulnerable older adults. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm completely unaware of that. So somebody has to kind of bring me up to speed.
It's just a letter for information, Mr. Warden. I had advised council that there was some special funding being allotted through the Department of Seniors to senior safety programs and community links programs. And that's just the official correspondence confirming that. So that's just for information.
Okay. So any questions on that from anybody? Hearing none. 7.2.2, that letter came today from the town of Yarmouth. The appointment, Mayor Mood is stepping down from the Yarmouth International Airport Committee, and they've appointed Cliff Hood as their appointee to the Yarmouth International Airport Committee. So information again and so on from that. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none. Item number 8, new business, and that's on the COVID-19 update to the CAO, Victoria.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So just a very quick high-level summary in terms of our business continuity plan and our response to COVID-19. So we have reduced levels of service, as you heard this morning from the Director of Recreation and the Director of Public Works. You know, we've taken a look at under the state of emergency and the public health orders. We've reduced our levels of service to comply with them. We're also taking measures to conserve financially. So for example, where we might undertake particular activities 5 times a week, we're doing them 3 times a week or 2 times a week, trying to balance, you know, the risk as well. Any essential service or core municipal service, with the exception of recreation, we are still delivering. So we are still delivering our complete level of service on solid waste, on fire protection, on policing. The only amendment that has been made to fire protection is that under the orders, firefighters will not be medical first responders. They'll leave that to EHS. That's been the only adjustment on the fire service. Every other service that we deliver is operating as per normal, with maybe some slight reductions in the level of service. We're reevaluating all of our initial budget projections. So whether it's one of our own budget departments, or it could be in a related agency like Mariner Center, the team, so the Modi team or our broader team at the Yarmouth County level, we're having conversations to try to figure out what type of budget modeling we'll be using. And it could be this fiscal year that I will recommend a budget to you that will be based on assumptions that day in May. But the caveat could be that I may bring back amended budgets to council during the fiscal year in response to whatever the realities are. And I know that's not our normal practice, but for this year, we quite honestly have to be willing to do that. There's a lot of work going on with the Association of Municipal Administrators and the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities. We're working very collaboratively together and pushing our municipal issues up to the province, and we have regular lines of communication open. The warden, Councillor Durkee, and myself actively participate in those. And so I want to encourage you, if there are issues with respect to COVID-19 that you think have a provincial context that should be highlighted, and either we need permission from the province to do something, or an issue is relevant across the province and we should have a unified approach to it, and you want to discuss that, be sure to let the warden or Councillor Durkee or myself know, and we'll make sure that those issues go forward. Locally, the Western Regional Enterprise Network has been very active to support business, and our Regional Emergency Management Organization has been very active to support people at risk. So both of those agencies have specific programs and services to speak to the realities that people are facing under COVID-19. So we'll continue to work with everybody on the Modi team at the director's level. We have a formal check-in once a week, but we talk daily. And so, if things change and this situation becomes more chronic, we could be bringing recommendations to you in terms of level of service to get your approval on as we move forward. And Frank sort of alluded to those earlier this morning. So, that's it in a nutshell. Essential and core services are still being delivered. We're looking very closely at the finances. I will tell you that the Director of Finance and myself have had a conversation. We did some projections. We could be looking at a reality where about 40% of our tax revenue doesn't come in this year. So that's pushing the $4 million mark. And that's, it's just over $4 million as the number we submitted as our number on the tax deferral program that we're lobbying the provincial government for right now. So, if that happens, we have some difficult decisions that we have to make. And so I want council to understand that as we move into, 60, 90, 120 days, the likelihood that we'll have to make some significant financial adjustments grows. I think that's all I had, Mr. Warden, in terms of a summary there.
Is there any questions from council on that? I do have one, Victoria, and I know the answer, and I know this is going to be it's being streamed and so on. With respect, because the provincial government, I'll say, makes up the difference, it does not relieve the taxpayer, the resident owner, the taxes. Their taxes still go on. So if they don't pay this year, they have to double up next year or make some financial arrangement, right?
So that's correct. So whatever type of program we're able to negotiate with the province in terms of helping with cash flow at the municipal level, taxes will still be due and payable. It's just a matter of when and how. That's right.
Yeah, I just want that kind of put out there. That was all. So was there any questions to Victoria on that one? If not, we can move on.
If you just 1 second, Mr. Warden, I'm getting a text from the Deputy Warden, so we'll just see.
I see his mic is not muted, so.
I think John, are you trying to speak? Yeah, we can't hear you, John. If you wanted to text me your question, I can read it into the meeting on your behalf.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Good. Could we put internet speed slowdown in other business, please?
Can we what?
The deputy
Can we
ward.
put can we put internet speed slowdown in other business on item number 9?
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Just a second, John. Okay, I have it. Good enough. I have it on there, John.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's nothing, anything else under new business? We covered what the CAO requested. So on that, then we'll move on to item number 9, other business. Council meeting on April 22nd. You had that, I think, I don't know if it was added to the package or not, but the CAO has requested, instead of a 7 o'clock meeting, that we move that to 3:30. What is the consensus of council? Go ahead, Councilor LeBlanc. Just a second. Victoria's got to mute you there. You have to, okay, go ahead, Gerard.
Yeah, I just had a question that just came up in my head. What about the election? Have you heard any more about the election in October?
I can answer that question after the warden is done asking about the time of council. I was just bringing it to you because because we're not having a traditional public session in chambers. If council would rather have it, in the late afternoon on that day, then we can arrange for that. So if that's okay with council, Liz and I will plan that way. So I'm seeing thumbs up, Mr. Warden.
Yeah. Well, was that thumbs up? I think Trevor has a question.
Oh, and Dan says yes.
Is it possible to move it to 4:30 rather than 3:30?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So is 4:30 agreeable? Thumbs up on that one. Lauren, you're good with 4:30? 4:30? 4:30 good for you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you, John.
That's Dan.
Okay. Daniel?
Yeah, I'll probably have a little trouble with 4:30. I can't guarantee if I'm fishing, I won't be in time. I can make like a 6 o'clock meeting any day now. Even when I'm fishing, even when I'm working or fishing, I am home before that. If I'm not out, it's no problem. But if I am out, I would probably not make the meetings.
So 6 o'clock is fine. I was just putting it out there.
Yeah, no, and as it moves closer, I know my schedule better. I just I know for sure if I'm out, I would not make the 3:30 or 4:30 meeting.
So what is, I have no issues and so on. What's the rest of the council? You feel you like to?
I'll be home anyhow.
Okay. Councilor Durkee, Lauren, you're fine with that? I don't know, Councilor Durkee?
Prefer afternoons, but I'm very flexible.
Okay. And Trevor, you're good with that?
4:30, yes, but it's also important that everybody be able to attend. So, if it's 6 and Daniel's duly elected, so I think that if we can have the meeting at a time when he can attend, I think that's better.
Okay. Okay. So then I only have one question. Go ahead, Gerard.
I'm just wondering, how about if we have it at 4:30, except when Daniel can't make it until 6, and then have it at 6.
Well, if I could speak to that, Mr. Warden,
Okay.
it's just a matter of helping on the admin side plan. So if we plan for 6 o'clock and something changes and Daniel doesn't fish, then he can let us know. But, you know, we do have a certain amount of background work that we have to do, and we try to plan towards a certain time. So, yeah.
Lauren, did you wish to speak? Go ahead. Where is he? Where's Lauren? Yeah, there.
Sorry about that. There, yeah. I think 6 o'clock would be good. That way you've got your as Victoria said, there's preparation that has to be done. Let's leave it at 6. Accommodates everybody. Let's just do it at 6. That's my opinion.
Okay. And we'll go from there. My only thing is we got to give Liz enough time to have food delivered to each one of the houses. You got that, Liz, did you? It's always good to have a little humor in any meeting, I guess.
6 work for me. It's fine.
Okay. So here's what we'll plan if it's agreeable with the administration. We'll plan 6 o'clock. If Daniel finds out that it's going to be a stormy day on the 22nd and he's available at 4:30, and if Mid wants to move it to 4:30, as long as you give councilors by 10 or 12 o'clock, would that be agreeable, Victoria? Or,
Yeah, and there's no need to change it. If everybody's okay with 6, there's no need to change it.
okay, then 6 o'clock it is. Yeah. I'll just have to have my housework done before then, that's all. Okay, still under other business, internet speed. Councilor or Deputy Warden, you have concerns?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if everyone can hear me.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if everyone else has been noticing lately, but the internet speeds day to day seems to be getting slower and slower and slower. And case in point is me being unable to stream any video. And also, if I have my municipal computer going, the speed of the router will not handle 2 different things.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, whether it be through you, Mr. Chair, or Councillor Durkee or the CEO, if they could find out if that's been an issue across the province. I find it's very slow. Even at our business, it's slow. Our interact transactions have slowed way down. We're even unable to access video conferencing through the business. And I also tried up in the Forest Glen Tower, up at the community hall, and that's not as fast as it once was. So I do notice that Councillor Trevor Cunningham out in Hebron, where it should be fast, is not. He's even, I find, cutting in and out at times. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we could contact someone in the province to get a hold of Bell to find out if it's a hardware issue or if it's a issue because they possibly slowed down the internet speed so everyone gets some, or their network just can't handle the amount of data. And another thing that's going on too, that I've heard complaints, some students that are home, whether they're doing college courses or they're doing schoolwork through the high school or elementary schools or junior highs, they're having a very tough time, at least out in this area. And mind you, it was never really good at any time, but it seems to be getting a lot worse. So I hope you heard all that.
Yes. Yeah, or I did. I think they all heard.
Yeah,
I
heard it all.
Yeah. Councillor Cunningham, go ahead.
Yes, the other Councillor Cunningham makes some very good points, and it is true. I'm in Hebron, but we don't have a high-speed line here. So again, down Route 1 essentially, and I think also around like places like Lakeside Road, I think a lot of people do have higher speeds because there's fiber there. But lots of other people, if you live down like a private road like I do, it's very, very long. The high speed doesn't go down. So I think it's not only about the number of people that have internet access, that's only part of the issue. And of course, I'm not, I don't know the hardware side of it that well, obviously, but I'm guessing, as Councillor Cunningham's alluded to, that because so many people are using the service, that it has slowed down. I mean, the pipeline's only so big in certain areas, so I'm assuming all my neighbors would be using more, and I know our household usage has gone up. We have my son's home from university and doing online courses. My daughter's in high school; she's doing things online, which is good. But also a lot of business people are doing things online. So the Zoom meetings like we are, for instance. So having said that, this issue should have been dealt with a long, long time ago. Internet access, number one, but it's now more urgent than ever. And, I think maybe with this whole horrible COVID-19 situation that's going on, and it may last, we don't know just how long it will last, but people may want to come to a rural area to be able to socially distance a little bit more. So having said that, they will want good, reliable, fast internet access. So I agree with what everybody said, and I think we need to look into it more and again. So having said that, those have been my comments. Thanks.
Go ahead, Victoria.
So we can do a couple of things. I can send a note to Evan at the Western Wren this afternoon and see if through his network he can get some sort of an explanation on what the internet service providers are doing to try to level the level of service across all of their infrastructure. But if you want, I know that there's a call tonight with the NSFM, and Councillor Durkee and the warden will both be on there. And I'm sure either one of them might be willing to ask the question if this is being observed across the province as well, and whether or not there's an action item related to it.
Okay. Councillor Durkee?
Yes, with regards to that this evening, sorry, but I am unable to attend that meeting tonight because I will be celebrating Passover, the Jewish holiday. So it gives me a moment to wish all the Jewish people in our community a very happy Passover. And one of the things they say for Passover is, question is, why is this night different than all other nights? And why is this time of year different? That'll be a big topic of discussion. A lot of people, what they're doing is, this is usually a big family gathering. Sorry to take up your time, but I'm doing it anyway. So people are having virtual seders. So we're having one with my whole family this evening as well. So, but yeah, at this time, it's quite different than we've ever experienced.
It sure is.
Okay.
So yeah, between the warden and myself, we'll definitely raise it tonight. And is it appropriate to say shalom?
Pardon me?
I was asking Councillor Durkee if it was appropriate to say shalom.
Shalom is hello.
Okay.
You can say Happy Pesach, Happy Passover, or Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. Yeah, get the kochen.
So, Councillor John Cunningham, would that be action that is what you're looking for right now?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'll be looking for right now, because like I said, even our business internet speed, who is on fiber op, is slow. And I'm wondering was the question ever asked to Bell? Like, I know back when we had the Eastlink service in the province, I think it was 10 or 11 years ago, and put out the towers where we did get some internet out here. If it was used so much that the company purposely slowed down the speed so everyone could have it, or their data was capped, and I hope the heck that doesn't happen here.
I think there is, if you know, a lot of kids are at home, parents and so on. And when my kids were small, I'm not saying I stuck my kids in front of the TV every chance I got, but Sesame Street used to be a big babysitter. Well, in today's society, I think parents still use the internet and so on as a babysitter and so on, because I've seen some kids out playing They've been playing in their own yard, you know, brother and sister playing in their own yard. My kids were young, the same as all yours. They go over to the neighbors and play. Well, I think the internet is being overwhelmed at this time. And I think a lot of businesses are finding that the speed is slower. But here about I better say 5 months ago, I'm with Eastlink, and in my own home, I couldn't get, if Dinah was using the computer down in the bedroom and I was out in the living room or I was watching TV, it would just up and freeze. So I got a little upset. I called Eastlink and told them what I had. And they said, well, that's no problem. They walked into my house, they changed my router, and they had this new little box. It's called a Wi-Fi booster. They took that down and put it in my bedroom, hooked my router here in the living room. Voila. I didn't have any more of the freeze ups and so on, but we have noticed that we are starting to get some freeze ups now. And I think that's because it is overwhelmed and so on, the whole system.
Well, see, the speeds of the internet is very concerning because we all know that the province is asking that we use, like, say, for example, at a business, tap cards.
Yes.
Well, that relies on the internet, and that is even starting to, like I said earlier, it's that there is sometimes spotty. So it's becoming a real issue for the whole Nova Scotia, I'm sure. I'm not sure if there's any issues in the towns or stuff, but that's just what I'm observing.
Okay. Councillor LeBlanc, you had a question?
Yeah, when my wife moved home, yeah, when she they connected her from the hospital to work home with her computer, and I can't remember what it's called, the Global Connect or something like that, from the hospital, and she was told that there was so many people on it that it was slowing down all the programs.
Yeah, it happens. Okay, so Victoria, if I don't make it on this evening, you'll bring that forward, please, on our behalf. But you're also going to get in touch with Evan.
Yep.
Yes, okay, so we'll have a double. So John, was there anything else on that, or are you fine?
No, I'm just not happy about the situation of the internet.
Okay.
As we all know, I'm not happy about the internet since I started as a counselor.
Yeah.
But hopefully it will get fixed sometime in my terms.
Okay. I guess then on that note, councillors, there's no, there isn't any other business.
Yep, there's in camera, Mr. Warden.
Pardon me?
There's in camera.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, under other business and so on, I guess we'll step into in camera and go ahead. Yeah, bye, Frank. Councillor Durkee. Oh, you were waving to him. I'm sorry. So to Frank and Derek, thank you very much, and so on. Do you wish to take a couple minute break or anything, councillors, or you just want to go right into in camera? Go ahead, Trevor.
I'll move that we move in camera.
Okay, been moved by Councillor Trevor Cunningham. Do we have a seconder? Councillor LeBlanc, second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.